Hey, welcome back. We are going to be looking at how to practically apply these principles I just shared with you in the last video. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check out our content publishing platform and the strategies to be able to take a 1 hour sermon and turn it into 30 different pieces of micro content. Now we're going to go into the specifics of exactly how this is being made. And we're going over these PowerPoints put together by Gary Vee. So he's using the analogy of how to make a sausage. But in other words, you could, of course, put in whatever meal you want to make. So this is the Gary Vee content machine is what he calls it. Number one is the video experience. So this video, this was a keynote speaker at Oregon for Dutch Brothers. So at the event, he had his videographer, D-Rock is his name, and he recorded it. So it's a 2 hour and 24 minute and 30 second long video that got 256,000 views. And for our context, just know that a keynote is more like any time a minister is invited to preach at the church or at a local church camp meeting, prayer meeting, any time that a sermon is being taught. That's similar. That is an example of a keynote. So that's how it applies in our field. And in this video, before showing the keynote itself, I recorded a short introduction where I gave the context of the talk so my audience would have a better understanding of what the content was about. So in other words, he pulled out his phone and he said, hey, this is what the video is about. We're going to be learning about this, this, and that. And later on, D-Rock went and edited that intro into the beginning of the video so that this long video is able to capture their attention in the beginning. That's how that happened. And he also used this sermon as part of his daily vlog that he entitled Daily V. So I noted that because I'm trying to do a semi-daily blog, and I noticed, I'm like, oh, I never thought about using my sermons or prayer meetings or online Bible studies or things like that in its hour state as an actual daily vlog. What a concept. That sounds pretty simple. I'm giving sermons all the time, no longer having to stress about what am I going to say for the vlog. So that was a good note. And now they have the audio experience. So what we're basically doing is we're going over the 4 pieces, the 4 different media that you can choose for to communicate. You have video, audio, written, and visual, which is still shots. Written would be like a blog, and then audio would be like a podcast, and then video is like YouTube and all that stuff. Video is the most viral. Live video is the most highly promoted on the internet. That's in existence today. But video you can do a lot with, and from video you have the audio and the visual, and you can turn it into written content. But so we looked at video, now we're looking at the audio experience. So with audio, he immediately extracts the audio from the sermon, and he made it into a podcast. And once you have that MP3 or that audio file, that podcast is then published on Stitcher, SoundCloud, some Google Home, you have Spotify, you have iTunes, you have RS Feed, you have Amazon, you have up to 10 different social media platforms that we're able to publish audio podcasts, the audio experience on. And this is able to reach a greater multitude of people that we otherwise wouldn't have in contact with. So then comes the first round of stories and micro content. So again, his team is able to grab the pieces of the keynote that the team thinks would be good driving viewership, basically entice, intrigue, spark curiosity, and give immense value up front in a short piece of content. And this is published right after the long form is published, the hour sermon. Then those little micro content, it all links back to either the podcast or the video on YouTube or Facebook. And then it distributes it. The pillar content itself is distributed to Facebook, YouTube, and my podcast. Those are the things that he does that for. And then the podcast is then distributed to 10 audio-centric platforms. That means they're platforms that specialize in audio, and they garnish over 200,000 listens. That's pretty intense. Then that podcast actually became one of his top most downloaded podcast episodes of all time. So that's pretty neat. And then the first round of micro content and stories then gets posted on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. Now this is a really good visual because you see what he's dealing with here. Here you have YouTube, and this is for the whole hour, the hour form. And then you have Facebook. You see how they lend better with the black bar on the top and on the left. So it's reformatted so that it could respect the culture of Facebook and how all videos in your scroll, they automatically start playing. So they have the captions below and a really captivating title to stop the scroll with some copy on top. And then the Snapchat, you see it's a 15-second version. This is in portrait mode. So portrait's taken like this, landscape is taken like this when you have your camera. Or in other words, I'll do it this way. This is portrait, this is landscape. So it matters what angle and how you have your phone set up. Then he publishes this on, and that Snapchat is 15 seconds. Then it's published on his podcast in just audio form. Then on Instagram, it's published right there. That might be a story, which all stories are done in portrait mode. And then Twitter, he's published a 2-minute, 20-second video form on Twitter. Then LinkedIn, he published that kind of looks like that is a vlog, a written blog that's published on there, something short. So that's really good to know. And you can see how he modifies. It's like Jesus had a way of adapting his message to the specific audience that he's reaching to the hearers. And here is kind of like a modern form of communicating. We need to adapt our message to the audience that we are reaching to on these different platforms. It's the same thing that Jesus did when he was on earth. Then number 5, we get some community insights. Pay attention to the comments of what really resonated with the people and what parts with the timestamps that spoke to them the most. And you take it, you create a micro content out of that. And here's another micro content that they made. And then post things on Facebook. So you see here, after analyzing the comments across the social channels, his team and him took the best moments of that community that the community shared with him and made 2 more clips to share first, to first share on Facebook, which has a tendency to expand, or it says over index, or in other words, that's to broadcast or to reach other people that you otherwise couldn't. It's like creating leverage. And then it gets more eyeballs and attention. So you see that this is community-driven content here. This is Team Gary V micro content here, and this is Team Gary V micro, and then this is community. So the 2 on the outside, community determined. The 2 on the center, it would be like Army of Youth just determine what we think would be best. But it's a total of 4 pieces of content. And these clips became new original content as they are edited and presented in a new way with custom copy and titles. And notice all 4 of them organically got. This one was 100,000 views, 600,000 views, 4 million views, or 15 million views on Facebook. So you could look at the 200,000 that he gets on the podcast and say, hey, my podcast is well done. I'm finished. Or you can turn it into micro content. You can throw out and trash the sawdust that's made from the byproduct, or you can choose to clip it up, repackage it, and sell it for a massive profit in the pellet stove wood heating industry, as the analogy I gave before. So you can see that there's a lot of souls that we are able to reach that we otherwise wouldn't be reaching if we didn't adopt some sort of micro content repurposing plan strategy. So this is how he does the Instagram micro content. The Facebook clips are then repurposed because Facebook allows longer. They repurpose it into 60-second versions for Instagram. And you see that these are square, 1:1 ratio to fit the culture of Instagram. And they're repurposed as posts, 60 seconds, not longer. This resulted in 3 more high-performing posts, which were successfully reshared multiple times. This one got 700,000 views, 1.4 million, 1.7 million. I mean, this is when you combine all of the views from this one sermon, this one keynote message. I mean, it's phenomenal, the impact and outreach that this can have. It's like you throw a pebble into the lake and a wave is formed in another and another, and so it is with our influence. The circle widens, and the ability to be able to make an impact, a deep, meaningful change in someone's life, it can change them for eternity because you chose to help take part of the process of repurposing. It's incredible. You may not be the most eloquent and gifted speaker, but you know that you are able to learn how to repurpose content, and then you can help spread the gospel and spread these publications. I mean, it's just a really powerful and effective way. We can accomplish so much more together than we ever could apart. And I know I tried doing this in the past by myself, and it just doesn't work very well. God's work requires a team of united people that have a similar burden for the lost, that together we are able to reach the world, each playing a very special role. And it's incredible. There's no limit to what we are able to accomplish together in Christ Jesus. So then with the Instagram quotes, the team, the best quotes from each of the top performing videos are then selected by the Gary Vee team to be repurposed into images for me to post on Instagram and Twitter, amplifying reach. So these inspiration quotes are able to be taken. They could be Bible verses, they could be concepts, they could be like aha statements or different things that we learn and what we see is really, really impacting people. So those could be shared. And they all point back to the original long form content that they came from. Twitter quotes, we're able to take that new content that's repurposed in a format native to Twitter. Now, this is really key. All of this is being native to whatever the social media platform is. It's adapting the message or the content, the format, the delivery to whatever platform we're looking at. And it gives new ammo to drive back to the original keynote or podcast for future promotion, and the more that the gospel can go to the world. I mean, you could really see how in these last days, the gospel is going to be reaching far more people than ever before. And Instagram stories here, we see the best 15-second clip is then used as an Instagram story to drive viewers back to the micro content to increase engagement. So these stories, they only last for 24 hours and then they disappear. So you're able to use these 24 hours and point people back to the micro content. So he's saying he's not promoting the long form content with these stories. He's promoting the micro content with these stories. And from the micro content, that promotes the long form. So that's really interesting. It goes the 15-second story to micro content that promotes the pillar content. I like that. There's almost like another upside down pyramid there, the 3-step process. It's like the 3 angels' messages, the first, second, and the third. So he says that he believes that Instagram stories are one of the most underpriced assets in a ministry's current competition for attention. And it's true. What we're fighting for is attention. And we want all eyes to be centered on Jesus and his soon coming, and education and training and inspiring the young people to identify their talents for the Lord and use them for God's service. So one of the ways we could do it is also through Snapchat. Snapchat, if you didn't know, has one of the highest demographics of Generation Z and millennials on Snapchat, but especially teenagers are largely on Snapchat constantly. So this is a great way to reach an army of youth and to prioritize learning how to use this effectively. So the same 15-second that was used for Instagram is now repurposed as a Snapchat story, driving further distribution to a new audience. That's really nice. And then GIF content, we're able to take different like aha moments or inspiration quotes or different things. As you could see, you're able to take Bible verses or encouragements, and then you're able to post these animated photos or GIFs on Facebook, Instagram, and as you can see, how he has a slide. He's able to use a GIF to animate slides. That's really a way to interact more so with people, being able to have GIFs. Then he creates GIFs for his community to reply with them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram stories. So we don't necessarily have to do that, but I guess he uses that to reply to comments with those GIFs that they created as a ministry. So the written word, these are blogs, articles, and like, look at that. This is pretty sweet. Now, we've already made more content than most ministries have in the last month, but then we take the most important themes of each video and turn them into an article, just a separate written word, and then it's posted on Quora to answer people's questions, LinkedIn, Mashable, Facebook, and the blog. In our case, it would be thearmyofyouth.com. We'd be able to post it natively there. So this is a great place to continue to drive engagement. And he says, I often add 1 to 3 major points to expand or articulate something new. So he's not just posting all the exact same content on these platforms, but he's adding unique things to the articles that are not mentioned exclusively in the other posts. And he has a team of writers that are actually keeping track of the videos or the videos that are being recorded. He has a videographer that actually follows and records them most of the day through his meetings, through his Bible study, or what would be for us for Bible studies, fireside conversations, through his keynotes. He has a dedicated videographer to keep track of all of those things. And sometimes he'll say, "Is like, wow, we need to write that down. We need to use that." And he has a team of writers that he'll work with them and he'll talk with them and say, I want you to write about this and that. So they just type it all out and use it for content to be able to be distributed in written form. And so they work well with his team. This makes the articles feel like new content and allows me to go deeper and rehash the idea for my audience that adds more value. It's not just repurposing the exact same thing, but it's adding more value. That's the key. We want to share as much of God's word as we can and to share more things that are going to benefit their lives for eternity. Here are the results. You want to see them? One keynote became over 30 pieces of content, resulting in over 35 million views. That is larger than some countries on earth. Could you imagine reaching an entire country with one sermon? Powerful. Across more than 20 different social platforms, content. Oh wait, more content. But he really believes that content is a way to succeed in the social media in these upcoming years, especially in 2019, because there's so much noise taking place, and this is where all the attention of the people are. And whatever can stop the scroll and grab the attention, this is what's going to be able to reach some of the people, is the simple truths of God's word being published in a manner that is easily consumed. And we need to go where the young people are. For us to ignore social media is to ignore an entire generation of young people that would not be reached otherwise. So he, and then he says, on this day he published content piece number 31, and it was a short film for the Gary Vee video experience, which is a compilation of the top moments from the original pillar content. So here is kind of like a mashup or a remix that allows him to take a lot of different clips that are on one subject and then mash them together And then here you have even more content to produce. And he's just saying, thanks for your attention. Yeah, and then he has more links. So there we have it. This is basically the plan that we're able to use for increasing the views of the Army of Youth content and how to, or any ministry. But for those who are watching, we're sharing this especially for the Army of Youth team to help us to be on one page to understand what we're going to do to be able to reach the people where they are in the most effective way possible. We want to work smarter and not harder. And this is a way to really work upon the plan of addition while God is working on the plan of multiplication. And we cooperate with him. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time and taking a look at this. I look forward to working with you in the future. And I'm so thankful that we get to work together with other like-minded young people to go take the gospel to the world. Thanks for watching and have a great day.